Today I'm going to be talking about steak and the different cooking degrees of steak. In front of me here I've got two cuts, two very different cuts. The first one I've got here is beef skirt. One of the cheaper cuts, one of the most flavourful, yet at the same time one of the tougher cuts, which is going to be perfect for grilling. Now this comes from just inside the chest, below the ribs. If we look closer, very thin bit of steak, the grain going this way. Now when we've cooked this, we're going to cut against the grain, which will make it more palatable for eating. Although you can cut the other way as well. So I recommend maybe trying both ways of cutting the steak to see what your preference is. Now this cost me from Charlie Barley's £2.20. Now that's a decent size. So we're talking nearly £6 a kilo for that, which will feed two hungry people. The next steak I've got here is ribeye. Now, in a restaurant, you will pay top money for this kind of steak. Now, this is found between the chuck and the loin. You can see it's highly marbled with a good bit of fat in there. Now, the fat is what's going to give this steak its distinctive flavour, making it one of the richest and beefiest cuts. It's got a soft texture, giving a rich and juicy finish. Now we can see it's a decent size as well, which is going to almost fill our plate as well. So that's our two cuts, and we'll start off by cooking the skirt. So I'm going to fry this skirt steak now. In my griddle pan, it's going to give some nice scorch marks on the finished steak. I've got it in full heat. It's smoking now, so I'm just going to take a little oil. I'm going to oil the steak, not the pan itself. Just both sides. Beautiful. Now I've got some Montreal steak and burger seasoning, which I bought from Delights in Stornoway. Just want to try something different with my steak. So we're just going to season liberally on both sides. I'm going to press that into our beef. Now some people claim that you should season it first and then oil it to penetrate the steak, but either way it's the same thing to me. So there we have. And when it comes to seasoning as well, I like it when if we're going to put the steak into the pan, to season it in the pan with the pepper, because what I like is when the pepper hits the griddle pan, it starts to smoke as well, and then more of a smoky flavour. But we're substituting salt and pepper today for our seasoning. Straight into the pan. And we're just going to leave it as it is. We're not going to start tampering with it and probing it and touching it. But the point of this steak as well is, I'm not going to serve it well done. If you serve it well done, it's going to be as tough as old beef, especially this cut of meat. So I'm going to serve it a good medium well. Okay, smoky it is. Now what we'll find is we'll start noticing a wee bit of change here around the edges, which will give us an indication of when to just start turning our steak. Another point I'd like to make is, over the years I've always been led to believe that we should take our steaks to room temperature and then cook. I find that now not to be true, because especially with a cut like this, it's thin. So from the fridge into the pan, it gives us more of a chance and gives us more control on the cooking degree of the steak. Maybe, yeah, beautiful. If we didn't have that heat in the pan, the steak would just start stewing. So a good hot pan a good caramelization lends to more flavour as well. So it's been about 2 minutes now. You can see the heat penetrating coming through on the edges here now. Turned over. Now what I've done there is I've tried to put the steak now on a part of the pan that I haven't used. So we've had it this way. I've now put it on part of the griddle that I haven't used, so it'll be nice and hot so we can continue with that sear. Now if I touch it, a lot of people when they're probing steaks, they're doing this and it's not giving an indication, it's happening too fast. What you want to do is, you just want to lend your fingers to it. You can see how much give is in that steak. Now what I'll do also as well, as part of the blog, I'll put cooking degrees of steak on the blog for people to peruse. You can see as it's continuing to cook, it's just starting to just shrink in size, because we're losing the moisture in the steak itself. That will be nosy. Excellent. Look at the caramelization there. Another indication that people use for cooking steak are their fingers. Now, if I go like this on my hand, you can, a middle finger on here, you've got a good medium rare. If I touch this, you can see that, how springy it is. If I use my next finger, we're going for a decent medium. And I'm trying to use my pinky, it's firmer, indicating that it's well done. So, one more. Yeah, almost there now. So you can see what I've done with the meat. I've turned it over once, and that's it. So it's just been cooked evenly on both sides, not flipping and flopping the meat itself. The more we lift it off the pan, the more air circulates around the steak, cooling the steak down. Beautiful. Now what I'm going to do is now I'm going to take it off the griddle pan, because that's, I want this at this cooking degree. I'm aiming for the medium rare. Now as I rest this steak, it's going to continue cooking even as it's resting. Now this theory of the sealing, which you'll see later on, sealing the meat seals the juice in, is not really true, because what we'll see is we will have a little pool of juices under the steak, but we want to leave the steak there on the board and it'll just soak up its own juices in time. So I'm going to rest that for a good 10 minutes, and I'm going to get on with one of the finest sauces that will accompany this steak. For the ribeye now, you can see it's got again a nice size and a nice thickness to it. So what I want to do, I just want to, again, just a touch of oil. I'll rub that in. Again, I don't want to oil the pan, it'll just create too much smoke. So we're going to season liberally on both sides with salt and pepper. Now, don't season too far in advance, because what will happen is the salt will just start to draw the moisture out of our steak. So season last thing and into our pan. Hear that sizzle? Again, same rule applies. We're not going to start poking it and prodding it, because the more we start lifting it off the pan, the danger of the steak sticking. So the degrees of cooking, everyone likes a steak either blue or rare, medium rare, medium to well done, frazzled. But what I would recommend is if you are someone who enjoys a well done steak and you want to be maybe a bit more adventurous, maybe tone it down to a medium well. See how you get on with that cooking degree. If you enjoy the medium to well, tone it down to medium, and so on and so forth until you get it to an acceptable, palatable level. I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes just now, because again, since you've got the griddle pan, I mean, if you didn't have a griddle pan, it's not a massive deal. A good quality heavy base frying pan would do as well. But I want to garnish the steak with the griddle lines. So we're going to give it that sort of diamond crisp crusty effect on our steak. Now for this cooking degree, I want to take the steak to a good medium rare. So we're looking at, again, we talked about the degrees of cooking, touching your hands, touching the steak. I would recommend, again, I know I keep going on about these, purchasing a digital thermometer. It'll give you a perfect indication on cooking steaks, on cooking what you enjoy. So if we're taking to a medium rare, we want to look at a core temperature of anything between 57 and 63 degrees Celsius. So I'm just now going to maybe have a crisscross mark. Move it over slightly to another part of the pan, and we can just continue cooking. Now bearing in mind it is one of the most expensive cuts of beef. We'll be talking, I'm probably talking about £25 a kilo. So I think I paid just under £15 for actually 2 ribeyes. But the flavour, the marbling, it is one of the top end cuts. You can see the changes happening around here. It's a good indication on where we are with the cooking degree. Generally from about 2 to 3 minutes. When you let go this just now, it's still cold, it's still got a lot of give in there. Again, from the fridge into the pan, I've got more control and more time to think about what I'm doing with the steak. So let's get the other side of the pan. Again, it's all about flavour. You want a good scorched effect on the steak as well for the flavour. So we'll continue again for another couple of minutes, and then we'll just finish off with the crisscross on the other side. Again, it depends if you're at the butcher on the thickness of the steak. I know there's some pre-sliced in there already. I'm sure some people go and ask for a thicker cut. So it really all depends on the thickness of the steak as well. So I'm not going to start giving you timings just now. Because the timings I might give might be wrong to your thickness of steak. This is where again the probe would come in. So there we have, we've hit the 62 degrees. I'm now going to pull the probe out. We have, it's obviously come down now, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another board, and again we're going to rest our steak on there for about 5-6 minutes. Now the sauce I want to accompany with the steak is a classic béarnaise sauce. It's luxury, it's egg yolks, it's butter, it's velvety, and it's just sheer beautiful. Into my pan, first of all, I've got one shallot, finely chopped. In addition is the crushed garlic. I like a bit of garlicky flavour in there. that, we want to add some good quality white wine vinegar. 4 tablespoons. 3. A good 4 tablespoons in there. I'm going to get that onto the heat. This happens fairly quickly. I'm just going to reduce this down to about a tablespoon. Now that's just coming down to 1 tablespoon now. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to let it all pass gently through the sieve. And we'll just let that cool for a couple of minutes. Now that our liquid has cooled, I'm going to place our 3 egg yolks over a pan of barely simmering water. Again, working quickly here, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon cold water. Give that a quick whisk. Again, we don't want the bowl touching the water itself, otherwise we'll end up with scrambled eggs. We'll now take our flavoured vinegar and continue whisking. So with the egg yolks in here, we'll have a bit of acidity through the white wine vinegar. Still already starting to fluff up and emulsify. Now we just want to watch the heat of the water. We don't want it too intense, otherwise we'll start cooking the eggs. Now we just want it just slightly warm for blood temperature. And at this stage we want to start adding our butter. Now I've got about 200 grams of butter here. I know the old recipes call for the butter to be clarified, which means when you melt the butter, let's turn this down. When we melt the butter, we separate the milky residue from it and we pour the melted butter into it. With this, saying we're just tampering with the seasoning. The butter is also at room temperature as well. At room temperature as well. And I just want to continue whisking. Let's tidy up my mess. Again, just watching the heat. I'm just going to add again the butter a bit at a time, because we don't want to shock the sauce. We want it to emulsify and enrich gradually. So now we can see it's all coming together and emulsified. Lovely body and rich. I'm going to add the juice of about half a lemon, and then for flavour I'm just going to add about half a teaspoon of tarragon. Just going to give it a nice aniseed flavour. Fresh would be best, but the dry is just as good for me today. That's actually the only thing I've got at hand. Now to serve, we would leave that off the boil on top of the water until required. Maybe just cover it slightly. So there we have it. Now we'll serve up. So there we have our sauce. So you can see how it's all emulsified. Now what I mean by that is it almost looks like well, an emulsion. Think of mayonnaise, but more of a rich, luxurious mayonnaise. One thing I forgot to add was some white pepper. So 2 or 3 shakes of white pepper. I'm now just pour it into our ramekin. So there's our sauce. We'll take our steaks into the equation. Another point, again, when serving steaks, I've got clean tongs, because we were working with raw steak. Clean tongs now, and a nice sharp knife. See the give in that. It's got a good 10 minutes rest now. So, cutting against the grain. Thin, nice thin slices on there. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And the yield we have in this steak is just phenomenal. You can see it. I'm trying to show you at all angles here. I'm pretty excited about this. Now for me, the best part about this will be I'm just going to take some and we'll dip it into our béarnaise and just absolutely stunning. The flavour from the Montreal seasoning, which we got from Delight, the charring on the steak itself, phenomenal, and the richness of that béarnaise sauce, absolutely stunning. Moving on to our ribeye, which is now at a good 6 minutes rest. I'll do. Okay, we can get a nice view of this. Beautiful, stunning. Cut in there. Absolutely fantastic. So I hope I've shown you some insights onto the cooking degrees of steaks. To whatever liking or degree you so wish, remember, try. If you like the well done, just take it down to the next level until you find your happy medium. Any further information can be found on my blog in regards with cooking degrees and cuts of beef. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. I just have to. It's just one of the finest things in life. Enjoy.